Gary, how you doing, man? Can we hear you? Yeah. Does your mic not work?
It takes a second, Adam. I've already
Oh yeah.
requested all the.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
Okay. What's up, Gary?
What's up? How are you
How are
guys?
you, my man? So tell us about what you're doing, where you're
All
at.
right.
Yeah. Tell everybody what you're
Yeah.
doing
So,
in the stage you're at.
I run a business called Analytics Mate, which is a Google Analytics for migration service and ongoing Google Analytics for support. So customizes your reporting on GA4. Um, and that's it. I joined because we do a lot of SEO and we get a lot of our leads through that business. We work with brands like Daily Harvest, Airtable, Costco Auto, and we're looking to grow even more on the SEO side on our site. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's why I'm here.
Cool
Hey,
business.
yeah, cool business. Thank you very much, Gary. We got 312, 313 live participants right now. Eric, you're a hot commodity, man. You're beating our average.
That's good to know. Thank you, everyone, for appeasing my ego. Gary, I have a question for you. Who's like your ideal client profile? Because analytics is like this. A lot of people suck at analytics, right? So it's great that you have a service that helps with this.
Yeah, so our ICP is kind of VPs of marketing and above that do not have the resources internally to set up all of their analysis and marketing dashboards that maybe their PPC or SEO team members are, limited in terms of time.
Got it.
We sometimes get a lot of folks that are really deep into analytics, and that is not our ICP. So a lot of our newsletter and the people that are signed up are looking for more and more insights. And so there's value there, but that is not who we target. The people that pay us the most by lifetime value are going to be VPs of marketing.
Great. I hope you get some leads from that.
Yeah, thank you.
Gary, thank you very much for sharing with us. We'll now demote you.
Bye, Gary.
I'm a big fan of yours,
Nice
Eric.
meeting you.
So,
Thank you.
Cheers, all of you. Good to meet you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, clearly we're at 346 now. Clearly Eric Siu is in high demand. I will let Eric Siu introduce himself because, I mean, who's better at introducing the man than the man himself? So tell us who you are, what you're all about, and give us a little sneak preview of what we're going to talk about today.
Sure. Adam, thank you so much for having me. Thank you all for attending. So my name is Eric Siu. I main business is an ad agency called Single Grain, and I do a podcast called Marketing School and another podcast called Leveling Up. And I'm nerding out on the YouTube aspect of leveling up right now. So I by the way, this is here, little game over here. I bought this DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and it's like the best vlogging camera ever. And it's like, you have to get one, Adam. You have to, you like documenting all your stuff. You got to get one.
Yeah. So like this problem that I have, I tried for our community space, I tried to do these, talking into the phone or whatever, and I look terrible. Well, like I just look so much worse than on this. I mean, this is not the right camera for me. It's normally a different one, but like, does that solve that problem?
This camera looks really, really good. Go on YouTube after, type in DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and this will solve all our problems. Because like my whole thing and your whole thing too is we're not content creators first. We're entrepreneurs first. We're content creators second. But I just saw this one guy, like he just does this all the time. And he's like, just like talking about what he did. And maybe there's like a shot of you and I eating dinner, and we'll talk about what we did. And that's a lot easier to me than having to think about topics. But anyway, that's a little side note. Those are the things that I do. And extra side note, Adam's going to be speaking at my conference in a couple months too. So yeah, we'll share that to YouTube as well.
Boom.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you for
What
joining
we're going
us.
to talk about, I guess I'll give you a little preview on that. Sorry. So we're going to be talking about the future of SEO and where it's going, and how you all can be taking advantage of the future. We'll show you some things that we're doing. Hint, there's going to be talk about agentic workflows. We'll talk about that. And if you stay till the very end, here's a little hook for you. If you stay till the very end, we'll talk about the LinkedIn ABM tool that we built out, and nobody else can do this right now. Basically, you can launch 500 ads at once, targeting 500 different companies, and LinkedIn themselves says you can't even do this right now. So yeah, stay to the very end for that.
So you sent me the video of this, and I was like, wow, that is really, really sweet. So
appreciate it.
everybody should really stay to the end. Eric has something incredibly unique as it pertains to hyper personalized LinkedIn ads at scale. I think that's like the way to describe it.
Yes.
You know, as I observed it. So, man, let's get into the show. So like, I'm very excited to be here, not only as the host, but as a participant in the learning, because as I sort of mentioned to you when we were trying to like come up with this, what we're going to talk about, I don't know anything about SEO. I've never had an SEO play in any of the SaaS businesses I've ever made. And I've just looked at it, and it's been like Santosh has done some pretty big SEO plays before. Oh yeah, we didn't promote Santosh. Hey, John, can you get Santosh up here? So he's done some mega SEO stuff before at Apollo and ZoomInfo, but like I've done nothing. So, and I'm sure that a lot of these people in this audience, given who my audience is, they're in the same place, right? So like, can we just like start with like, what does SEO even mean in 2025? Because I type something into Google and what I see is an AI summary of what used to be an SEO, you know, organically ranked listing. So like, what is SEO in 2025?
Yeah. So I'll say maybe it's helpful to kind of set a baseline first, but SEO in the past, and hello, Santosh.
Hey, Eric, good to have you.
Yeah. Well, by the way, Santosh, I've seen your stuff. It's amazing. So maybe we'll get back to you in a second. But SEO in the past was really focused on if you want to succeed at SEO. So you want to rank higher in the search engines, you're going to get a higher click-through rate. You're going to drive more traffic, which means more conversions, hopefully at the end of the day. But top two things were content and links, right? And content and links are still very important today. If you create great content and you have a strong link profile, you're going to rank really highly, right? But things are changing quite a bit now. And SEO today, you know, my podcast co-host and I, we just spoke at a conference in Germany with about 5,000 people. And, you know, the acronym we like to use now is, sure, it's SEO, but it's now search everywhere optimization. It's not just search engine optimization, it's search everywhere, right? So you look at the Perplexities of the world, the chat GPTs of the world. Yes, traffic is compounding exponentially right now. It's still like a little blip compared to a Google, for example, but Google's clicks are still jumping. We're talking, you know, 9-10%, you know, over time, right? And so, yes, like Google's still the dominant one, but when you look at search behavior, like for myself, when I'm searching for things on like Amazon search, when I'm searching for video things, I'm searching on YouTube. So attention is so much more fragmented now that you have to think about optimizing and going omni-channel. And that's a big piece of it as well, right? So I can go on and on, Adam, but I'll pause for a second just to see if there's any other direction you want to take it in.
So my question is SEO just a game for like someone at 20 million ARR and above? You know what I mean? Like, as a 1 million ARR SaaS guy, am I supposed to even be attempting to create omnichannel content to pander to fragmented attention?
Yeah. You know who's a good example of this? I did my YPO form yesterday, and there's a guy in my group that you know, he's looking to, I'll keep it kind of high level, so I won't reveal his business, but let's just put it this way. He was trying to do everything under the sun. Yes, I mentioned search everywhere optimization, but if you're around 1 million ARR, maybe a little under 1 million ARR, you should think about the channel that performs the best for you at the end of the day and just focus on that. I think at the very beginning, like you might look at Adam and be like, oh, you should go all in on LinkedIn. I talk about SEO. Maybe you should do SEO, right? I think what kills a lot of startups is trying to do too many different marketing channels at once. I think it's a matter of, hey, once you nail one, you scale that one, because it's a game of resource allocation at the end of the day. You don't have that much resources, right? The other problem with SEO is if you didn't raise any money and you don't have a lot of runway to begin with, you probably shouldn't invest in SEO because it takes time. And people like to say, yeah, it takes about 12 months plus to get going. Maybe 12 months, it might be 24 months or so. And so would I start with it? Not necessarily, but do I think it's the gift that keeps on giving long-term? Yeah, I do.
And is it
Nice.
so like, let's take me as an example, right? Like, well, I'm having an out-of-body experience on LinkedIn. Is there like a correlate between channels that you're doing well in marketing on and the channels that you should invest in SEO? Like, I wouldn't know how to invest in SEO LinkedIn because it just dies or whatever. But like, you know, let's say my game was YouTube, right?
Mhm.
Like, would you be like, okay, you're killing it on YouTube with however you're doing it, start playing the SEO game on YouTube also? Like,
Yeah.
is that the natural?
Yeah. I'll tell you our progression. I think this is where an experience share is probably more helpful. So for us with marketing school, so Neil lives half a mile away from me and we record in person. And the reason why we do that is because for marketing school, we'll allocate about 75 to 90 minutes per recording. And then we for sure will have a bunch of, we'll have the audio, we'll have the video. So we'll have the long form video, we'll have the audio, and then we'll have the short form content too that we'll throw over to shorts and TikToks and all that. And so, and then at the same time, we've also created a workflow that allows us to create AI assisted content. So it would take the transcript from each episode, and then we'll have a human in the loop come in and make sure that we're fact checking everything, adding the right links, adding the right, statistics and things like that. And that will be created into a blog, and we'll throw that onto our site. And I will tell you, all this repurposing, especially on the SEO side for our podcast, the traffic's just rising up and to the right. It's very consistent.
Yeah. Have you ever made a playbook of that as a piece of content?
Yeah, we do have multiple pieces of content on this, but I'll probably make a more complete one that's like 30 minutes plus.
Cool. Well, I will collect something from you and send it to the list of these show attendees after the fact, because the only thing that I was thinking the whole time when you were saying that was like, man, I just want to see that. I just want to see the plays.
Yep, we can do that.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm curious about programmatic SEO, especially in the day of AI content generation. So, if I can share, this was probably a decade ago at ZoomInfo. What we did is we generated landing pages for people and company, probably tens of millions of those, right? And then we attempted to have Google crawl as many of those as they could. And then the traffic shot up. The inbound leads went from like a few hundred to tens of thousands a month, right? So are those plays still valid today? And then can you scale that up for content?
Well, Santosh, I'm glad you asked. Let me show you a little secret here, Santosh.
Okay.
We love
Santosh,
this stuff, by the way.
So Santosh, this is the Single Grain website. This is our website, right? So we rank for about 4,300 keywords that contain the phrase agency. So like AI marketing agency, we're number one for that. Programmatic advertising agency, we're number one for that. Paid media agency, number three for that. E-commerce advertising agency. So we have done programmatic SEO, and we've kind of seen the ups and downs of it, right? So if you see this one, I'll make it a little bigger. You can see we started slow. We should have bet really hard here. And I'm a gambler. I'm surprised we didn't bet harder here. We should have bet harder here. And then so traffic started to really scale up. And then Google update happened, right? Basically in the middle of last year, and started to go down the helpful content updates and that type of stuff. But then after that, Santosh, we're like, okay, what do we need to do to make sure that our programmatic SEO results actually work for the long term? And so for us, we focused more on pruning the content that didn't get any traffic or didn't get any backlinks at all. So we just deleted that content straight up. So we deleted a few thousand pages. And not only that, we thought about how do we optimize all these pages at scale from like a programmatic CRO standpoint too, optimizing the content on the page, optimizing the call to actions on the page as well. And I can talk about that in a little bit, but that's what we did. And once we optimized it, we focused more on quality versus quantity. All of our results came back.
Incredible.
That's an amazing graph.
Yeah, how do I get that? Totally.
What's your take on these backlink farms or people that try to doctor backlinks at scale? Do they work anymore?
They work, but my stance has always been on this, like starting from SEO. Oh my God, when did I start doing it? Oh my God, 15 years ago. So 15 years ago, we tried everything under the sun, right? Like when I was like a newbie. And so I've tried the black hat stuff. I've tried the white hat stuff. And my stance on everything is the black hat stuff works, but why don't you just do the black hat stuff in a white hat way? So let me give you an example. Okay, you build a link farm. That means you have like a lot of sites that are internally, they're all linking to each other, and you own a bunch of these websites. Why don't you just do a link farm in like a legit way where it's like legit websites that are all cross-linking to each other and linking to you, right? So I think it's like, why don't black hats want to do it? Well, because it actually takes work. And so that stuff does work, but we don't do it for ourselves. We don't do it for clients because we've seen so many websites get torched by it, and we don't want to put ourselves at risk with that.
Nice.
Sweet. I want to talk about this. You sent me a tweet It was like a series, or maybe it was an Instagram, reel, or like a carousel of tweets. And you had a pretty strong conviction that community is like surging as an SEO play in 2005. Is that correct? Like maybe the biggest momentum bet you could make is kind of investing in that for a lot of different reasons.
I think it's one of them. So, for example, Adam and Santosh, I think you guys have built a great community with what you have at retention. It's pretty clear everyone's engaging with everything that you guys post, right? But you look at this graph over here, which Kevin Indig shared a while back, and you can see in the black, it's HubSpot's community over here, and then in the orange, it's Shopify's community. It's all moving up and to the right. And granted, this is from a couple months ago. Zapier is moving up and to the right, even though they're kind of half-assing their community, not full-assing it. And so, well, why is this happening? Well, because there's a proliferation of AI content. Well, if there's a proliferation of AI content, if I'm Google, I need to adjust my algorithms to focus on more human-generated content, right? And so I invested in a company called Skool, so SKOOL.com. And then there's also another tool called Circle.so. And their organic traffic, SEO traffic, is shooting all up and to the right. And so great, number one benefit, you're going to get more SEO traffic. But two, you're going to get, I see community as a retention mechanism. It's a way to keep people in, and people, they might buy from you, but they stay for the community ultimately, right? And I think there's a reason why Sam Altman says that he thinks in-person community and even online communities are going to be more valuable in the next 5 to 10 years, which is why I keep trying to get you to join YPO, Adam. So.
Well, hey, I keep getting rejected. I have one last shot. Apparently, I'm going for a walk with this guy on Sunday named Brett Hurt, who's like he's the founder of Bizarre Voice, and apparently he's like the guy in Austin. And if he can't get me in, nobody can. Or there could be one other path.
No, I have a loophole. I have a loophole for you. Just
you join
if that doesn't
Atlas.
work, you tell me.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you know. Okay. So, is there a? I love that graph. So that graph was just like the SEO power of like it's stuff that was going on in Shopify anyway that's now getting amplified due to Google's draw to
user-generated content. Yeah,
right, exactly.
Dude, Reddit added 700 million organic visitors, monthly organic visitors, and so they've since kind of tapered off a little bit. But the doubt that there's no doubt that Reddit and Quora are big benefactors.
Yeah, and it makes total sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a strong bias for human-generated content, right? Because of all these machine-generated.
Yep.
And can we do, Eric, I typically like to do 2 polls. One is the roles of people on the call, and then later we'll do ARR ranges. I just want to see, since it's you, how different it is than it normally is. So John, can we do the roles poll right now? And we'll leave it up for 60 seconds and then we'll share it with everybody. So thank you very much. Community is, like, how would you start one? You know what I mean? So I should have thought about this question more before I asked it, because like when we launched our B2B, I was like, oh, we need to be community led, but it took me probably like 9 months or so to figure out exactly what our angle would be. And it like took a really long time for me to solidify that like our audience and the people I'm helping with my LinkedIn content the most are like right around 1 million ARR. And like, there's a set of problems that occur that like, I really think I can help them with, right? Like, it's kind of like, I think the biggest problem is like people get ahead of themselves. They want to run cold email and they want to run ads and they want to like do SEO and whatever else before they have product market fit, or before like just like their fundamental value proposition is not rock solid, right? So like, what advice, like what if I'm listening to this and I'm like, okay, great, I want to be community led. Like, where do you even start with that in your opinion?
Yeah. By the way, before I answer that, is it usual? It's 49% founder, 41% growth marketing, 8% sales.
Yeah. So we usually are 70% founder, 20% growth marketing, 10% sales. So you pulled in more marketers this time.
That's awesome. Well,
thank you, marketers.
Yeah. Thank you, marketers. And thank you, everyone.
And the absolute number is actually, I think this is like the highest attended show we've ever had.
Wow.
Likely.
Yeah, 460
Awesome.
concurrent, 460 concurrent is 461 concurrent is very high. Thank
Go
you
for
everybody for
500.
showing up. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Getting tons of value. So yeah, where do you think the right, if it's like I think you gave some very sage advice earlier. It's like if you're at 1 million ARR and you're resource constrained, maybe starting an SEO right at this time is like not the thing to do. Like, what if I'm starting from zero on this community thing? It's like,
Yeah.
because another thing that you told me in this when we were talking about this is like, I think that acquiring customers and retaining through community is going to be a big play in 25 and 26.
Cool. So I'll give you guys a little, we can talk about advanced SEO if you've raised some money, but you don't have any authority, how you can speed run that. But if you stay to the end, we'll get to that. So I'll show you a community that Neil and I started. And the reason we started this community was to help agency owners acquire more clients, right? So this is called the Agency Owners Association. You kind of see his Indian face and my Chinese face. But you can see people like they're engaging with each other. They're asking about different tools and things like that. There's like weekly, group calls. And that's not necessarily Neil and I being on these calls. I would say that the key thing is if you're looking to start a community, this is School. First, that's the platform that we're using, skool.com. Let me slow down a little bit. So school.com, that's the community that we use, the platform. The second thing is you ideally, if you have some resources, go hire a community manager. So we hired someone that had worked at Mindvalley, and Mindvalley is like an online education, business, and they have a lot of community managers, right? So think about the businesses out there that have a ton of community managers and just pick them off from there. The good news is I think community managers, that role is very underpriced right now. Like, you can hire people for $20, $30, $50 an hour or so. And that's a pretty good rate for them. Like they would be, super enthusiastic about you hiring them, right? So you need an experienced community manager. If you can't hire an experienced community manager, then you have to be the person, right? And even if you do hire a community manager, I was very involved with this in the first 3 months or so. I was in on these calls. I was trying to get everyone riled up. I was trying to understand everyone's problems, right? I was talking to the customer. So the founder is usually the one that's going to inject the most energy into this thing. And now we're looking at how do we expand this thing because the product's pretty good, right? So we don't think about expansion until we've done this for 3-4 months or so. And we get a good sense of, after we talk to customers, we say, hey, what's the thing that you love the most about this? What do you hate about this, right? So we do a lot of customer development. It's no different than SaaS, right? And then after that, we're like, hey, what else is missing? And then from there, we figure out how our quote unquote product roadmap looks like for the future of this community. But I would say, again, pick a platform, right? Second thing is ideally hire a community manager. And then if you can't, and even if you do, you have to be involved, the founder, for at least the first 3 to 4 months or so. And then the thing can compound over time.
And is this is a feature of School that all this is getting indexed and it's like searchable or whatever, like kind of back to your.
Yeah. So Adam, that's a good one, actually. So you can have a private group on School, which will not be indexed. And this one's a private group, or you can make a free group, right? So Alex Hormozy, he does this thing because he's a big investor in School. He does these things called the School games, right? And the whole challenge is for you to build your own School group. And you can build a free one. And if you build a free one, it'll get indexed. And for you, Adam, because your community is so big, you might as well just have a free one for SaaS founders. And then for the people that maybe want to take it to the next level, maybe you can have a private one, right? And then maybe you can do, private online events or private live events.
Yeah, I'll share with you what we're doing right now. And I'd like your critique. So this was like attempt number 1. Basically, it's like you come in, you say hi, right? So people sort of, and by the way, this is like a $9.97 for 4 courses that I've made about building a startup. It's a year of our B2B Pro, and it's this community. So like people come and talk about who they are and what they're trying to, where they're trying to go. I got some non-negotiables in here of just like key habits that I think every 0 to 1 founder like needs to be doing. And then we have like some content. I'm posting every single day, stuff I'm not posting anywhere else. Then I do a monthly training on some like key area of business growth. I did one on LinkedIn last month. It's going to be cold email and then ads and then blah, blah, blah. And then we have this thing. Our next level is $29.97. And $29.97 is once a week. You get to talk to me, Santosh, Diana, who's my co-founder, who's done sales, 1 to 10 million is the only rep twice. Pete, who runs our growth, Rob, whatever. So like it's these group coaching calls that everybody loves. And then we have this like interactive stuff, which is, you know, like it's the chat where some, you know, this response, like guys like, I'm not a technical co-founder. How do I know my developers are doing stuff correctly? Stuff like that, right? And then we have like our main channel in where people can post teardowns. I think there's too much going on. You know, it's like people, it's choice paralysis. We think we might take everything into one channel, but like the point is, you know, me and Pete have committed to engage with everything. And then we have some power users that also engage with everything. And I don't know that this is like day 20 of this.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'll tell you what. So Gary has a comment here, Gary Maps. So I thought this was going to be about SEO, but it's more about founder community building. False. We're talking about both, right? But it can be a dynamic conversation. So we're going to talk about community and we're going to come all the way back to SEO. So you don't have to worry about that. But by the way, so I showed school, Adam was showing circle.so, exactly what I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
We just had that conversation today. And so for our community, we were also doing too many things. I'm like, guys, why are you doing all this like coffee hour call and this call over here, this call over here? Why don't we just focus in on the problems to be solved at each level, right? So you might have 7-figure founders, they have these issues over here. 8-figure founders, they might have like M&A issues and things like that, or executive issues, right? And then what we're trying to do now is we're just segmenting the people based on their annual revenue. And for the people that are doing 8 figures and above, they can come meet Neil and I in person. And basically that's like a, in-person, like 2-day event. And we'll do these workshops, like, every quarter or something like that. But it's just a different offer for each level. I think going back to everything, the only way we're going to figure this out, is through a lot of customer development, right? And do you guys remember, that little continuous glucose monitor levels?
Yeah.
Right. So, when I first talked to, Sam Korkos, I realized he was doing a customer development call with me. He's asking me very specific questions. How many times do you Peloton? How many times do you work out? How many times do you do this? Right? And I'm like, dude, how many of these calls have you done? 4,000. 4,000 customer development calls. I'm like, whoa, that's like a lot, right? And my point is, like, I don't think we do nearly as enough as we should. I don't know about you guys, but we definitely aren't. And I'm just like, guys, like I talked to our GM for the community and the community manager. I'm like, talk to the customers more, right? Because you and like we could come up with whatever, but we're all just building in a vacuum. And like you would have thought that we would have learned from our SaaS mistakes, but no, we still keep repeating these mistakes, at least for us.
Yeah, totally. I think Santosh and I did a ton of customer development into the launch of our B2B, but we haven't been doing it the last 9 months, and we hit a plateau because everyone's churning off because we now have competitors and we're not what we need to be. It's like it can never stop, right? Like especially as fast as everything moves in today's world, it's like you just always have to be talking to customers. And I think you're right about the community too. It's just another business that you're running, right? Like
go read the mom test, everyone, if you haven't already.
What is it? What is
it? It's called the mom test. I'll put the book in chat. So the book's called the mom test. It basically teaches you how to do customer development.
I love it. I love it.
So what's your favorite SEO tool
right now?
Or tool stacks, if there are multiple?
Well, I guess I think we have to like segment it because I'm really obsessed about YouTube right now. So our favorite YouTube tool is probably vidIQ at the moment. It just tells you like competitors, what they're doing, how they're stacking up with views, all the topic ideas and things like that, and how a video is performing on compared to average and when you made changes. So that's awesome. That's for YouTube. And for SEO, I keep going back to Ahrefs. So Ahrefs is like a SEMrush competitor. SEMrush is also great as well. But yeah, those are the tools of choice.
Nice. So in the world of AI, where you have AI responses, right? How is SEO kind of transforming? Do you see what's the long-term perspective of SEO, let's say 2 years from now?
I'll show you right now.
Oh, you got a slide for all the I love it.
Yep. So the way we think about AI, so everyone talks about agents, right? Oh, yeah. Satya Nadella, right? Mark Zuckerberg. Agents are going to change the world. I'm like, okay, well, how does this apply to the work that we're actually doing right now? So an agent is basically, to me, it's like a remote worker, right? It's basically a worker. And so when you think about any worker, the first thing you need to do before you define how you build an agent, and I'll talk about what we're doing right now, but this is an AI-driven SEO manager. So you have to think about all the jobs to be done, right? So an SEO manager, what do they need to do? They need to analyze keywords. They need to group keywords. They need to identify opportunities. They need to think about, competitor analysis, site speed, all that stuff, right? It's all a very thankless job. And so first you have to define all the jobs to be done. That's the first step. The second step is then this is like a job, right? So in SEO, one of the jobs to be done is consolidating your content. If you update your content, you delete your content, if you combine content together, that's going to help you increase your traffic, right? Because you're making things easier for the search engines. So if I have like 4 articles on, AI marketing agency, all those 4 articles, they're competing against each other. They're cannibalizing each other. So what this agent does is the very first step is it will fetch Google Search Console data, okay? And it'll move through this workflow over here, and it'll start to identify closest vector match, which means articles that are similar to that or pieces of content that are similar, okay? Once we figure out those, maybe we'll combine those all together and list them in a sheet for a human to review. And then we'll provide the URL consolidation recommendations, and then the human can improve that. The reason we keep a human in the loop and don't let these agents just kind of run amok is because we don't think AI is at the point now where it can kind of just run on its own completely reliably. I think we're still 2 to 3 years out from that. And so we think that you should have a human in the loop for whatever agent that you build. And again, you're just building like a remote worker that can handle these jobs to be done. And maybe after this job is complete, you can daisy chain it to another agent, and then the other agent will start. Or maybe they can do this simultaneously, right? And so that's how we think about it. And we actually built a platform called carrot.ai. And I think that's one of the screenshots that I sent you, Adam, where it shows we have an internal linking agent that will look across your entire website and it'll find the right internal links that you should be adding across your entire website, right? Instead of having a human do it, because a human will never be reliable enough to do that.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Awesome.
So I want to talk about this. I mean, it's a little early. We said we were going to make people wait till the end, but I want to talk about this hyper-personalized LinkedIn ABM over ads or whatever. Can you give us the scoop on the thing that you were doing that nobody else is doing that we all want to do?
Yeah. Can I, okay, here, I'm going to show you the internal linking thing, and then I'm going to move to the LinkedIn
Oh,
thing.
yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Sorry. I thought
No, you're good. I was moving on, and then I found I looked at our text chain and I found the thing I wanted to share. So can you guys see this?
Yep.
Okay. So I put okay, AI agents are the future, blah, blah, blah. But the most important thing is this little GIF over here. And I don't know how to maximize it, but you can see this is our agent platform in action right now. It's basically identifying internal links that you can see it's working. And then the human in the loop will just come in and just approve it later. But that's how we plan on doing how we plan on creating a lot of these agents, right? So like for backlinking, for, site speed, for content updating, all these things, we just want to handle, we want all these marketing agents built into our platform so people can just go to it and it can be like a one-stop shop. And you can just have it do, all these thankless marketing tasks. So that's what it looks like. And now I'll move over to the LinkedIn ABM thing. So let me stop my share and reshare. Let's go over here. All right.
Actually, dude, before you jump into that, can we do one more thing?
Yeah.
I want to just give somebody in this call an unbelievable amount of inbound out of the goodness in my heart. John, can we pull Ashley Bass? Are you cool with joining us as a panelist real quick and just giving us the quick pitch on who you are and what you do? Did she say yes? Ashley Bass, are you? Hopefully she's listening.
She's coming. It takes a second.
Yeah. What's up, Ashley Bass? So
Hi.
can you prepare yourself for a bunch of inbound and tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Ashley Bass, and I'm VP of Product Marketing at a B2B SaaS company called LawView.
I was intrigued about how you said that you had developed communities for non-marketing and non-dev, lawyers, facilitators, design thinkers, librarians, or whatever.
Yep.
Are
What
you
do you want to know?
are you interested in helping people with that, or do you have a full-time job and you're not interested in helping?
No, I have a full-time job as a VP of Product Marketing and a product trainer, but but I have been involved in a lot of community development, so largely as a product leader, so really figuring out how to engage communities around product level stuff. But yeah, I'm happy to connect with people on LinkedIn or whatever and offer some advice and coaching.
Amazing. Can you just drop your LinkedIn URL into the chat, and then I'm sure a bunch of people will hit you up. I just saw that question, and then I saw you say that, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just like
Yeah, no,
close the link.
it's not my side hustle, but I'm happy to
Yeah. Okay. I misread it a little bit. Well, thank you so much for talking to us, and then we're gonna get to this ABM thing.
All right. Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks, Ash.
Adios.
All right, here we go, everyone. The moment of truth, what we all came for. This post, I have to be honest, Adam, I kind of felt like you on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh my God, this is what Adam must feel like with all this engagement that he gets. So I posted this last week. First, let's talk about the post itself. 841 comments, about 500 likes or so. I'm like, oh, Adam Robinson. You might as well call me Eric Robinson. So the cool thing is, okay, we talked to one of my best friends. He runs like a $400 million a year SaaS company. And one of his VP of marketing actually used to work with me at Single Grain. And he was like, dude, you know what would be really cool? LinkedIn is such a pain in the butt when it comes to account-based marketing. So if I want to target like 500 different accounts at once, I have to make each campaign in LinkedIn ads one by one. There's no feature that allows us to make all 500 at once, right? And I'm like, that sounds like a really easy thing. Like, how could LinkedIn not have that, right? And so we decided to build it ourselves. It was a pain in the butt. And so we built it, and here's what it looks like. And then I'll answer some questions here as well. So you can't really see it that clearly, but basically what it does is it allows you to have creatives where you can add in custom variables. So whatever company you're targeting, Amazon, Salesforce, whatever, it'll change the creative there, right? It'll also change the copy in the ad itself. And so you're basically able to, personalize. Maybe it's not hyper personalization, but at least you can personalize the ads at scale. And now what we're doing, so we can personalize these ads at scale. Click of one button, you can make 500 different of these at once. And we talked to LinkedIn about this. We went to LinkedIn. We're like, hey guys, who can do, like, can you, like, you guys work with Demandbase, you guys work with 6 Sense right now. Can anybody else do this? They're like, no. I'm like, why didn't you guys just do this? Right? We don't have the resources to, right? They're like, you guys are the only ones that can do this right now. And so we're like, okay, great. So now we just threw this up on LinkedIn, and we just said, hey, if you're interested in this, just message me or just put a comment in here saying ABM is cool. And then boom, flood of all these enterprise companies commented, and probably 20 to 25 phone calls were set up from this.
Jeez.
It's amazing. This is game changing if you can have a custom. So is it personalized to the company level?
Yes, personalized to the company level. And by the way, the result, Santosh, 50% less CPCs, and then double the target ABM engagement rate. So we compared it to the current stats. We're like, hey, how about conversion rates? They're like, our LTV cycle is very long. It's going to take a little while, but they're like, this is way better than what we've seen before. So I'm like, okay, still good.
How do people get their hands on this?
Yeah. If you email me, eric@singlegrain.com, and tell me how much you're spending on ABM, that's a good qualifier. Then we can kind of work down from that list. But yeah.
So how much do you need to be? Whoops, I dropped an email and I sent it to not everyone. So how? Oh yeah, you just sent it to everyone.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. How much? Oh yeah, you did the same thing. We got to send this to everyone. Eric at singlegrain.com. So how much do you need to be spending on ABM to make this move the needle?
What's interesting? I've been asking people, so how much are you spending per month? And a lot of people are around, anywhere from the 5 to 20 grand a month range. And so I think that what I'm getting from this, I'm like, how much are you investing in ABM in general? Just, it's not a lot. Some people are like, 100 grand, 200 grand plus. But it seems that the sweet spot, let's just call it 10, 20 grand a month, which isn't a lot from like a, general ads standpoint.
Definitely not.
This is great to move accounts in the pipeline or stalled accounts, or if you can hyper personalize. There's so many new use cases that pop up that couldn't be possible earlier.
Yep.
What all counts to ABM, SDR time? What? I'm not sure I understand that question from Joseph Meyer. I don't know. We'll get some more. Joseph, you're only messaging us, so like elaborate a little bit and then we'll answer the question. Okay, so that was dope. everybody email Eric with ABM budget, knowing that the sweet spot's kind of 10 to 20 grand per month is where this is awesome. If it's more than that, you probably have a field day. I think it's about time to start going into the big Q&A that we've accumulated over the course of the show. So Santosh and I can just rotate questions here. I'm going to start with the Q&A over here. So let's see if you got this one from Basit Ali. Hi, Eric. Since you mentioned YouTube, I have a question related to how you can use SEO to perfectly optimize a YouTube channel in the entertainment niche and how I can actually figure out the RPM if I'm planning to monetize it in the future. I don't think
Great question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a question? Do you understand what he's saying?
I understand it, but I'm not the guy to answer it because I'm not a guy that's focused on RPM, which is revenue per milli. So I'm just focused on getting leads from my YouTube channel.
Yeah. And yeah, I hear you. Pete Bennett can help with that. Pete Bennett can help with that. Pete, throw your LinkedIn URL into here and he can help. Okay. Santosh, you're up.
So somebody's asking around community, Eric. Is there a ACV or size of company after which the community makes sense or below which it doesn't?
Yeah. I don't think of it in terms of ACV. So for example, our community, I'll just answer it from an experience share standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we started an agency owners group is not necessarily to try to make revenue from it. Neil's buying companies, buying agencies. I'm buying agencies too. So we're trying to see who looks good there, and we'll coach these people up at the end of the day, and maybe they'll do deals with each other. So from a business standpoint, it makes sense for us to have a community. And so I guess the ACV that would make sense for us, like we're really looking for companies that are doing at least $1 million in revenue to have them join the community, or maybe even $500,000 or so. And so they can hopefully grow to a couple million, and then maybe we can partner with them or maybe acquire them.
So I guess small is not small enough. $500,000 is also good.
Yeah.
I guess you're trying to get your word out. So there's no reason why not to start early.
Yep. Because like the other thing I talked about, we talked about a free community, right? It makes sense because like if you start a free community for SaaS founders, maybe they're at 100 grand plus or something like that, and Adam has it. And Adam, you have this community; they all grow to $1 million plus. Like they're all going to remember you at the end of the day. So, and plus you're paying Circle or School like $99 a month. As long as you have a community manager that's managing it for maybe call anywhere from 30 to 60 hours a month. It's just the gift that keeps on giving, right? It just Adam is going to take, and Santosh will probably take you a little more work initially, but it compounds.
Yeah. I love that. We love being in the game of things that compound for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting a lot of good community questions. I want to answer with you. I want each of us to give an answer for this, by the way, if we're up for it. So anonymous attendee, I wish there was a name, but there's not. Can you talk about or show community examples from SaaS that are not already scaled companies? So I showed mine. Two other ones that come to mind immediately. There's a Shopify vendor called Triple Whale that I thought did a better, and this is like, if you're in the Shopify ecosystem, you know them. They're probably like 25 million ARR, but they came out of nowhere, and it was like their CMO, the first person he hired was a community guy, and like they did 2 tiers incredibly well. It was like a social media thing led. So like, here's an important point I think that Dave Gerhardt makes that I want to reemphasize. So like I am building community right now on LinkedIn around these ideas that I talk about all the time. People engaging with my content and me replying to comments, that's actually building a community. So most of my community actually lives on LinkedIn. I can now move that to a different platform if I want, or I can just keep doing it on the rented platform, if you want to call it that, right? So like Gerhardt's like, the most important thing is aggregate people around ideas on social media and get the skill doing that. And like, that will be the first step. But this Triple Whale thing, I thought it was a great execution. It was social media based first. And then these guys, had a really active Slack channel that was segmented kind of like you said. They had their like top 5% guys that they called the Blue Whale group or whatever. And then they had everybody else. Blue Whale group, they did in-person events around it. It was just a beautiful execution. Non-scaled out company community example, Santosh.
Yeah, an example doesn't come to mind, but I think when we think of community, the natural inkling is to have a large community. I feel like the future is about niche micro communities, right? If you have an ACV of $60,000, then a community of 300 people is enough lead to kind of scale the business, right? You don't have to get to 3,000. But that's just a quick point.
I have a fun one for you. So I'm going to give you an example. So this is kind of going around the question maybe a little bit. This community over here, by the way, so I follow this on school. You can see who the top communities are. I'm like, oh, this community has a lot of people. This one's about the #1 masculine self-improvement community. I'm like, how did this guy get it so big? That's what I'm interested in, right? So 168,000 free community members, right? So what he does is you can see how he's playing it here. There's a couple community managers, and he's like, oh yeah, 2 live calls happening. Okay, great. But what is this join Adonis school thing? You click on this. Oh, it's a funnel to his paid community. Okay, ignore him with his shirt off, right? But so you can see 797 paid members, 129 a month. Okay, this community is making $102,000 a month. And I'm like, wow. So, but to me,
by the way, I looked at this too. There's another tier. There's like $1,000 tier too. You can click around here, and it's like an immediate upsell to $1,000 a month or something.
Yeah. So it's the whole Russell Brunson, it's the value ladder, right? At the end of the day. So we're not saying, guys, take off your shirt, or gals, take off your shirt and do this. We're just saying, hey, the funnel of free community to paid, here's a good example of it working real time.
Amazing. Love that. Okay. So let's answer more questions. Santos, your turn. Pick out a question.
There's some more questions around AI, but I feel like we have already covered this. Do you worry, Eric, do you worry about the quality of content getting back to worse with AI?
Yeah, so I do. That's why we have a human in the loop for everything. I believe the way of like we talked about AI assisted content, that means 60 to 70% maybe is completed by an AI, and then the 30 to 40% you have a human in the loop. I think that's the way to do it. A lot of people are lazy, right? Because even the way of doing SEO back in 2010, for example, people were using these article spinner tools that would slightly modify the words in an article, and you just put it back up on your site, and it would do well. So people like doing the lazy way is what I'm getting at here. And if you just go the extra mile a little bit, the extra mile is not even that far, you're going to do a lot better than other people. And the thing is, a lot of people listening to this right now, people shy away from SEO because it's a long-term play. It's very easy to see quick results from paid media or maybe even organic social after you get the thing going, right? So you're getting the dopamine hits quickly, and the feedback loops are a lot faster. But if we like to talk about compounding, we got Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger over here, right? We are willing to sit on our butts and let it compound for a long time. In addition to the quick dopamine hits, I think that's the best way you win.
Nice. So here's another one. So if somebody's starting a company in 2025, do you think SEO is getting easier for this person versus if they were starting a company in 2015 or 10 years ago with all the tools and the best practices out there? Or is it just a lot tougher?
I think it's a lot tougher. I think it's a lot tougher. Plus, it's going to change a lot. And Google has even said they don't even know where it's going. And so I think the key thing is with marketing, it used to be okay that you're locked in on one channel, you're just a specialist on one channel. But I think in today's day and age, you guys are doing LinkedIn. You guys are also doing these webinars, for example. You guys are hitting other channels too. I think it's too dangerous to be locked in on one channel because it can all go away in one day. And the reason why SEOs are so bitter, if you look at SEO Twitter, which none of you probably read, they're the most bitter people in the world, right? Because they put all their eggs in one basket, their site gets torched, and then they're just bitter forever, right? And there's a lot of a lot of regret, a lot of animosity. So don't be that.
Nice.
So, okay, here's one that got asked in the chat that I also want to know the answer to. Is there some sort of checklist I can run as a SaaS founder to where I meet the criteria that I should start investing resources into SEO?
Is there a checklist for when you start to invest in SEO?
Yeah, because it's kind of like a reaction to like, if you're super strapped and you're kind of early stage desperate or whatever, it's not time yet. So like, are there... when are you thinking that it is time to start considering SEO initiatives?
I think once you have, this is the safe answer I'll give you. Once you have product market fit and you have one channel that's working at least, then I think you can start to think about SEO. That's an easy heuristic.
Yeah. There we go.
Now, a lot of this content that people are creating, the different channels that you're talking about, Eric, is the assumption that all this content has to be public, because how else is Google going to crawl or rank if all of this content is private, right?
Yeah, the vast majority of our content is public. And the other thing too is when you think about creating a piece, like you have this ultimate blog post, for example, you might have these, excellent B2B stats, right? And it's like, you can make that blog post into a downloadable. Nobody's going to care that you made it into a downloadable. And so I don't think enough people think about content repurposing enough. Earlier, we talked about how we take our podcast and makes it into shorts, reels, and blog posts and things like that. I think that's just an expense that people are going to have to accept moving forward. And by the way, like that's a whole nother topic. I'll just leave that alone. If we want to talk about that, we can talk about that.
What the expense of repurposing?
Huh?
Yeah, the topic of the expense of repurposing, or like the fact that we're all gonna have to eat it, or what?
Both, right? And so I had lunch with this guy a couple months ago, and he manages this guy's socials, and they get 200 million views a month from their socials. A lot of it's, short form content. So 2.4 billion short form views. And I'm like, okay, how big is the business? Okay, they do about $20 million a year. I'm like, where do all the leads come from? It's all from organic social. And I'm like, okay, well, how does the breakdown of your team look? It's like, we hire all offshore editors. And the way it works is when we want to repurpose our content for shorts, we have one person that's the coordinator, almost like the strategist, right? That will define the right moments to clip. Then you have one editor, and then you have one poster, which their job is just to post the content, right? And schedule the content. Those three people make up one pod. Each person costs about $500 offshore, right? So each pod is $1,500. I'm like, okay, interesting. How many pods are you using for 200 million views a month? He's like, basically we spend about 30 grand a month or so. So he has 20 pods doing this, right?
Yeah.
So do you need to do that? Maybe just one pod is enough, or two pods, but I do think people need to think about this a little more.
Yeah. Okay. One last question here. From Joe Baloo, I kind of like this question. Have you ever seen a good collaboration on community where two brands co-own and operate one community?
No, but we're trying that. No, we're trying that right now with the Agency Owners Association. So we'll see where that goes.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that marks the end of the show. Eric, where can people find you? What do you want to promo, if you want to promo anything?
So thank you for this, Santosh. Thank you for this, Adam. And thank you everyone for your attention. You can find me on socials at Eric OSIU. So that's on Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn as well. That also works. And if you're interested in the LinkedIn ABM tool, just again, email me Eric, ERIC at singlegrain.com with how much you're spending approximately on ABM or how much you plan to spend. And then we can kind of prioritize that way. But other than that, no, this was really fun and super engaging for all 55 minutes.
Dope. Yeah, thanks for having us. And then just what we're doing next week, we have a week off of this show for the serial attendees. I apologize, there's something in the calendar, but you're going to show up and no one's going to be here, and you'll probably get the point around 2 or 3 minutes in. And then the week after, who's our guest? Our guest the week after is Diana Ross, my co-founder, the sales maven of startups. She's been 0 to 10 million ARR, is the only rep twice. She's joining me full-time at our B2B to create this whole sales model that we do not have yet. And yeah, man, I'm super excited about that show. That's 2 weeks from now. That's all we got for today. Thank you everybody for attending. Eric, you're a great guest. We learned a ton. Yeah, I'll see you around, man.
This is an awesome session. Thanks, Eric.
Take care, everybody.
See ya.
Cheers.
Bye.